Okay, so for today's activity, you do need to go through this mini lesson on annotating for narrative elements. This is meant to help you with your annotations when you're reading literature. So earlier we talked about establishing a purpose for reading. And when we are establishing a purpose for reading, we have to ask ourselves whether we're reading to persuade someone with the information that we're gathering, or are we reading to inform ourselves of something? And so, if we're reading to be informed, and usually when we're reading literature, that is our purpose, what can we learn from a story? So when we're reading a story, we can learn a theme, which is a life lesson. We can learn how conflicts are resolved, and we can learn how characters develop over the course of the story. Now, these three things are actually very much related to our everyday lives because the theme is a life lesson, and we overcome challenges and resolve conflicts every day in our own lives. And also, we also go through changes just like characters go through changes in a story. So, when we're annotating for narrative elements, we want to look specifically at conflict and character changes when reading literature. Um, so when we are reading to learn how a conflict is resolved, when we're annotating, we're looking for key details that reveal the conflict or the problem. We're looking for key details that tell us who is involved in the conflict. We're looking for key details that reveal how the characters are handling the conflict. And then finally, we're looking for details that reveal how the conflict is resolved. When we're reading to learn how a character changes over the course of a story, we need to look at the characterization at the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story. And by characterization, I mean the way that the author reveals to us the personality or the nature of the character. And the way that the author does this is through dialogue, through thoughts, through actions, and how other characters react to that character. So when you are annotating for narrative elements and from Antaeus, um, you're going to be annotating for conflict and for character development. I would recommend that you take a picture of this slide, a screenshot of this slide, so that it can help you as you are working through the story. When you're annotating for conflict, you need to ask yourself, is it internal or external? So you're going to be annotating to figure that out. Who is involved in the conflict? How will you know when it's resolved? Again, these are all things that you need to be looking for as you annotate the story. When you're annotating for character development, who is the protagonist? Um, what is this person like in the beginning? How can you tell? What is this person like in the middle? How can you tell? And what is this person like at the end of the story? And again, how can you tell? So that's going back to characterization and how authors reveal character traits. You are going to be annotating for both conflict and character development as you read the story. And just a heads up for you, this method of annotating for literature works for any story. This is also a slide that you want to take pictures of. You are going to be um, annotating using these specific directions. So for key details, and as you can see, I have the star there from our annotation guide. You're going to highlight and paraphrase the details that are related to the conflict. If you see any details that discuss a character's thoughts, dialogue, or actions, you'll highlight, and then you'll explain why you agree or disagree with them. If you come across any details that are surprising, that have you asking questions or have you making connections, you will highlight the detail, and you will write about why you're surprised, or you will write the question that you have, or you will write about the connection that you have, whether it's text to self, text to text, or text to world. And then, of course, you need to be more specific and explain exactly what that connection is. And I am going to show you what this actually looks like. Let's see here. There we go. All right, so for today's activity, you are going to have the story. I put it in this format for you so that you can easily highlight and type. So I know that it looks a little bit long, but that's only because of the format that it's in. And as you can see here, we have an abbreviated annotation guide. So the exact same thing that I asked you to do here, I've put here, and then it's more specific. You will make 3 to 5 key detail annotations that tell you about the conflict. You'll make 2 agree or disagree annotations related to the character's thoughts, dialogue, actions, or the way other characters act with them. And then you will make 1 annotation for something that's either surprising, confusing, or if you have a connection to it. And then you will type out your thoughts here for key details, and underneath here for agree or disagree, and here for surprising or confusing or connection. Now, what you need to submit for this video viewing, listen very carefully. You need to submit a list, 3 things that you learned from this mini lesson. I'll say it one more time because I did type it in the slide. For your submission so that you can move on to the actual activity, you have to submit 3 things that you learned from this mini lesson. What 3 things did you learn from this mini lesson that you think will help you with not just this assignment, but other assignments where you're annotating fiction? I'll say it one more time. 3 things that you learned from this mini lesson. That's what you're supposed to submit in order to proceed to the actual activity.